Welcome back to another one, guys. Today is a big day. We're going to be starting the 240 for the first time. So I think I've got everything sorted out. There's some stuff I have hooked up just temporarily, but for the most part, all the main vitals are hooked up. So got my power down here. This is just temporary. I'm going to set up a different fuse block, probably in the rear of the car. I know that there's a vacuum leak on the intake manifold and a couple other small vacuum leaks probably. It should still fire up, no problem. I know the battery's dead, so I'm going to go ahead and hook it up to the truck. What do you think, Tyler? You think it's going to start?
It's going to start. It's going to sound a little iffy because it's open downpipe, so, but
yeah,
I think it's going to start. I think it's going to idle good. It's a healthy motor. So.
It's definitely going to sound like complete shit because the downpipe it's just open turbo elbow, and the turbo elbow itself is definitely leaking. Yeah, we're going to go ahead and hook up the old F250. Get these jumper cables on and try to fire it. Hopefully it'll fire right up. Might not. You never know with these things. So yeah, let's see what happens. So it's been a while since this thing has been started up. That means the head is more than likely dry. The cams, the top end of the motor doesn't have any oil. So what we're going to do is we're going to disconnect the crank angle sensor. That's going to stop the injectors from firing and stop the coil packs from firing as well. We're just going to let it crank for a while, let it build oil pressure before we fire it up for the first time. This ensures that we don't run our cam bearings or anything dry, and hopefully it will bleed out the lifters as well. So yep, we're gonna go ahead and see if this thing will spin up, see if we can't build some oil pressure. Fuel pump is priming. We're not getting nothing. So I'm gonna check over a few things, see if we can't figure this out, and we'll get it cranking in no time here. All right, so the starter signal just wiggled its way off of there, so it's more than likely gonna crank now. Let's see what we can get. All right, sounding good. We're just gonna let it crank for a little while longer just to make sure we build some oil pressure, and then we'll go ahead and fire this thing up. All right, can you plug that crank angle sensor in? Okay. Let's see how long it takes to fire. Oh, almost. There it is. It had a major vacuum leak coming from the brake booster hose, I guess, so I went ahead and got some hose, ran into the brake booster. I'm going to find a better way to secure this, hopefully. Same thing with this throttle cable. I'd like to find the OEM bracket if I can. Anyways, we're going to try to start up this thing one more time before it gets too late. My brother's working on something over here. Truck stuff. 6.0 stuff, you know.
Always a problem. Always a problem.
It's always broken. Anyways, we're going to try to start this thing one last time before it gets late. Hopefully bleed out the coolant and check for any leaks or anything. So cross your fingers and let's see if we can get this thing up to operating temp. Pretty good. It's obnoxiously loud, but it seems to be idling pretty good. It seems to be revving up nicely, so we're just gonna let it do its thing for a while, let it idle out, check for any leaks. Maybe rev it up a few good times. Alright, so it's been idling for about 10 minutes. We've reached operating temperature. Everything's warmed up. It seems solid. I'm not getting any leaks or anything, so yeah, I'd like to say the coolant system's pretty much bled, the power steering is pretty much bled, and everything seems solid so far. I'm sure we'll run into some other small issues later on. It does seem to have a little bit of a high idle. Everything seems pretty solid for a first start. I'm actually pretty happy with it. So before I turn it off, I'm gonna give you guys a couple revs. It sounds awful because it's just open turbo elbow right now, but I've got some exhaust components on the way, and we'll get the exhaust right soon. This is just a first start to make sure everything's good. So before it gets too late, I'm gonna go ahead and give this thing a couple good revs, shut it down, and we'll move on from there. So that was first start. Everything went smoothly. Surprisingly, nothing leaked or anything. So got it up to operating temperature, bled out just fine. Honestly, I was half expecting to run into some sort of major issue after letting it warm up and stuff, but everything seems solid. So at this point, I can really move on to working on whatever I really want to. I've got another small update for the garage. As you can see, still got an empty slab back here, but I just got word from the building company that the garage should be done by the 4th of next month. So just a few weeks away, and we're getting close to having this garage done. I'll do an official video on that later on to update you guys on what's going on with the garage. But before we know it, the garage will be done, and I'll be able to move this car. Yeah, things are coming along nicely, guys. Between starting the car and getting the good news about the garage, everything's looking up. Obviously, there's still a lot of things I need to address in the engine bay. I need to get a more legitimate ground setup. I still need to modify my catch can as well. So yesterday we got first start done on the SR20 and it ran great. I was planning on moving on to just wiring up some gauges and doing some other odds and ends around the engine bay. But today I actually got a package in the mail, which means we can move on to something much more important. I got this box from GK Tech. So I'll go ahead and show you guys what we got in the box and what we're going to be doing today. You can see I got this nice little box from GK Tech. Inside we're going to find 4 polyurethane bushings. These are a 2-piece bushing with a metal insert, and we also got these 4 steel washers. So for those of you that don't know, these are my rear subframe bushings. I was waiting on these to come in before throwing the subframe back together. Shopping around looking for different options out there. Most people just go with standard solid aluminum bushing. I wanted to try these out because this isn't really going to be a track car. This is going to be more of a street car, so anywhere I can avoid doing solid bushings, I would like to. So these are polyurethane. They're still very solid, so I doubt it's gonna really improve ride quality over a solid aluminum bushing all that much. But the really cool thing about these bushings is that they're actually super easy to install. I should just be able to hammer these in as opposed to having to press in a solid bushing. Another really cool feature of these is that you can install them like this, or you can flip them upside down and actually change the roll center on the entire subframe. So I'll be installing these in the lower roll center position to kind of see how much it can improve my suspension geometry on some of my suspension components. We'll see. Worst case scenario, if I don't like it, I can always pull it back apart, flip it upside down, and reinstall it. That's what we're going to be doing today, is hammering these bushings in, cleaning up the subframe a little bit, and starting to reinstall the rear suspension components. Let's go ahead and get into this. Alright, so I got my subframe pulled over here. Real quickly, I'm just going to get some sandpaper and some brake clean up the surfaces in here, make sure they're nice and smooth, no burrs or anything. Hit them with some grease and go ahead and start smacking these bushings in. So let's get these sleeves cleaned up and we can move on from there. easy. Alright, so I went ahead and hammered in all the bushings. Got the metal sleeves hammered in as well. It went pretty easily. These poly bushings are a lot easier to get in than the solid aluminum ones, that's for sure. You know, they still took a little bit of hammering and you know, a little bit of persuasion, but they went in there fairly easily. You know, and these bushings, even though they're poly, are still very, very solid. So there's honestly going to be negligible difference between this and a solid aluminum one. So a little update. You guys can see I got the rear suspension on the driver's side together. I really wish I could have taken the time to, you know, paint the subframe and get new arms and new brakes and everything. But for now, I'm sort of in a rush to get this thing driving again for the city. So I'm just making sure everything mechanically is sound, which means I'm taking the time to, you know, service everything that I can, swap the best axle parts on, you know, because some of my axles had torn boots and stuff. So I'm just sort of trying to get it mechanically perfect, not necessarily visually perfect. I've serviced all the spherical joints, you know, greased them up, you know, got rid of a lot of the rust, greased the slide pins on the brakes, gonna grease the other brake components as well. The subframe bushings are in, obviously, so mechanically speaking it's gonna be perfect, but in the future we're gonna be doing a full rear end rebuild for sure. But for now, we just gotta get it together. Driver's side is in, getting ready to go ahead and throw the passenger side in, then shifter, drive shaft, and we'll be on our way to getting this thing back on the ground. Alright guys, so a lot has happened since that last clip that you just saw. I've got a little bit of explaining to do. As you can see, the car's on the ground and I got my exhaust components in, got the rear suspension finished up, and have actually taken it on its first few little test drives. The reason why I haven't been filming is because I've been really rushed to get it done, and a few other things are going on behind the scenes. I actually just got a new job, so I'm trying to reacclimate myself to a new sleep schedule and learn a new job and everything. So that's the reason why I haven't uploaded in the last few weeks and why I missed filming a couple key points on this car. I think you guys know that I try my best to get the best quality content out to you guys and film every little bit of the process along the way. That's why I feel so bad about missing out on the last few things. Things are going to change drastically on this channel here in the future. Before in the past, I've tried my best to try to have weekly uploads on a consistent basis, or as consistent as I can. I've never really had like a official upload schedule or anything, so that's something I really want to try to sort out for you guys. While I get used to this new job, I'm also going to be reevaluating my YouTube channel and trying to figure out how I can improve on it in the future. It might be a little bit longer till my next upload, but just know that I'm not giving up on YouTube. If anything, my channel is going to improve in the near future. I want to come up with a official upload schedule. I want to improve the quality of the content altogether and the quality of the build and everything as well. So good things are definitely coming. Stay tuned for more. The next video is going to be a banger. We're going to be taking the car out for some rips, getting some rolling shots, and really just moving along with the build and getting it 100% solid before it goes off to paint and body. So yeah, that's going to be it for this video, guys. Please stay tuned for more and expect some great stuff in the future. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.